So a little bit ago, I did a video where I went through each generation of my Sims 3 Midnight Sun family, and I have a couple of other families that I could go through. So today we're going to go through a different family. This is my Sims 4 Sharp Legacy Challenge, where I didn't have any rules. It was just like a do what you want legacy family. Basically, I played this family for 5-ish generations between 2019 and 2021. This video is going to be made up entirely of screenshots from the legacy. It won't be all of them though, so if you want to see more screenshots, I will leave a link to my Tumblr where I posted everything basically. Also, some of the Sims in this family are up for download. I don't think any of the main family are up for download, but like the extended family are up for download. Let's just start with generation 1. So I started this legacy with Sophia Sharp, who lived in a starter home in Willow Creek and worked as a gardener. I think the starter home she had was made by Lil Simsy and was like some fixer-upper thing that I then fixed up, potentially. It was 7 years ago, I don't remember. She spent like a week or so vibing, working on her skills, going to work, visiting the local coffee shop. She also went searching for some collectibles because we were poor. And while she did this, she bumped into a guy called Milo Pruitt, who she then bumped into again a few days later at the Spice Festival. And I made Milo specifically for Sophia to get with, but both of those meetings were unplanned. He just like happened to appear. So like, even though I made him and it was gonna happen, it kind of was like fate. You know what I mean? So they're like soulmates, basically, is what I'm saying. Anyway, Sophia spent a bit more time just hanging out, working, while also seeing Milo like every few days, and eventually they got romantic together and they went on a proper date to a coffee shop where they started officially dating. Because I love to have my Sims move way too fast, it wasn't long before Milo moved right in. I think he was in the tech guru career. I don't remember. I think he was. I think he was. They basically celebrated by going on like a little love day spa day out, and not long after this spa day out, Sophia found out she was pregnant, and obviously both her and Milo were pumped about it. They were like, hell yeah, we're having a baby, even though we've known each other for like not even 2 weeks probably, I don't remember. I added a little extra room to the house that kind of became part office and part nursery. We then spent a bit more time working on skills, hanging out. We made a little greenhouse. I made a little greenhouse for Sophia's plants, and Milo visited the flea market but didn't actually buy anything because we're poor, but he did have enough money to get a drink at the bar. So, you know, before long, the baby was here. It was a baby girl. We called her Abby. She was very cute. This was pre-infants, so Abby very swiftly became a wild toddler, and I took about 1 million screenshots of her. So like, here are a few, I guess, screenshots of her. She was so, oh my god, the hair she had, I remember her being so cute. I loved her so much. As much as I loved the little house they were in, they were quickly outgrowing the situation, so Sophia took out a 50,000 simoleon loan and we moved. I think I made this house myself. It features 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and an office that can and will be turned into a bedroom at some point. Because we had a bit more space, I also decided to adopt a dog, a boxer called Asparagus. I don't remember if Asparagus was a boy or a girl, but it doesn't really matter. Anyways, we spent more days doing nothing that interesting. Milo was working on his programming skill. He started a fire, which was great. Abby was hanging out with the dog, and Sophia got a promotion and found out she's pregnant again. I don't know why I said again, like that's her 5th pregnancy, it's her 2nd pregnancy, that's normal. And we also got a little cow plant who, spoilers, does not live for very long. Every time my Sims get a cow plant, I'm like, okay, this cow plant is gonna live for the whole legacy. This cow plant does not live for the whole legacy. They never do. They never do. It wasn't long before Sophia was in labor, and this time she had a boy who we named Gus. Following this, Abby aged into a child, and I gave her a room that, like, genuinely 7 years later, I'm like, this is like one of the best little kids' rooms ever. I just love the vibes of her bedroom so much. We also got her a little hamster, which was very cute. I need to do that more. I need to get more of my Sims hamsters, to be honest. We spent some time doing fun family stuff, and I realized Asparagus was looking rough as hell, so we went to the vet, and when we got home I saw like 10 different piles of throw up just on the floor. I don't know how I didn't notice that until we got back, but whatever. Shortly after this, Sophia became an adult. Did I say that Milo became an adult? Milo became an adult, then Sophia became an adult, and I decided that one more baby would be nice. So Sophia got pregnant again. We spent some days hanging out. They went on like a pre-baby date to a karaoke place, which was fun, and then the next day the third and final baby of the generation, our Gen 2 heir Faye, was born. Despite Abby being kind of excited while Sophia was pregnant, when Faye was actually born, she was like not happy about there being another kid in the house, but you know. Faye quickly became a toddler, and her and Gus were toddlers together for one day before Gus aged into a self-assured child. We then spent some more days hanging out, playing, doing skills before I made the executive decision to get a cat who we called Fabio. Actually, I don't think I named him Fabio. He was probably already named Fabio. And Sophia and Milo finally got engaged. One thing about me, my Sims are going to have so many babies and not even be engaged. Like, engagement and marriage just is so far down my priority list, but they're finally engaged. They went to like a little beach area in Brindleton Bay, woohooed in a lighthouse to celebrate. It was very cute, okay? The next thing that happened was a triple birthday of Fabio aging into an adult cat, Faye becoming a child, and Abby becoming a teen. I didn't really change Abby's room too much, but I did give Faye's room a complete makeover, and I gave her the experiment station, like under the assumption the house would probably be set on fire at some point. Next, more hanging out. Abby hung out with the dog who became an elder without me even noticing. That happens often. My pets will age up and I won't even know they've aged up. And she also got a part-time job. I can't remember what as, but she got a part-time job to help with money, and also made a new friend called Andrew, and Gus made a new friend called Cassie. Faye didn't make any friends. She just was experimenting in her room. Unsurprisingly, this did lead to the house setting on fire, and in the same day, Milo started a fire while he was doing the laundry, which like honestly is my fault because I just don't have my Sims clean their laundry shit. Like I just don't have them do that. I just forget and then it sets on fire. Anyways, in the midst of this, Fabio ran away, but then he came back, so it's fine. Gus ended up skipping school with Cassie, and then the next day invited her over for a neighborhood brawl day, and they just like had a scrap, which he lost. But it was fun, I guess. Milo then completed his aspiration. I'm so proud of past me for having them complete their aspirations. That's crazy. And it's not even a legacy with requirements. I just did that. I didn't even need to, and I just did it. After a couple of days being blue, I took Asparagus to the vet again, and this time she got a cone because we're poor. And the cones are cute, but like mostly we're poor. While they were there, Abby bought an anti-aging treat for her hamster because hamster deaths are very upsetting. So we're not dealing with that. We then spent some more days not doing anything too crazy, and before long it was winter and Gus was aging into a teen, and his bedroom got a very different vibe from the orange mess that he had previously. I did a bit of decorating for Winterfest, and a couple of days after Gus aged up, the gang all gathered around to open gifts. No one really got anything that interesting. Abby got some sports stuff she was never going to use. Sophia got some candles, and while Faye and Abby were out building snowmen, Asparagus decided it was time to die. Rest in peace, Asparagus. You will be missed. Since Cassie and Gus were both teens, they got flirty. It didn't take long. They were both thrilled about it. Quickly after this, Abby became a young adult. Her traits were dog lover, cheerful, and vegetarian, and she had the friend of the animals aspiration. Do not get used to me listing all the traits my Sims got because I fall off on that swiftly. In an ideal world, Abby would have become a vet, but like, that requires money and effort that I couldn't be asked with, so she just joined the business career. And as a birthday gift, we got her a cat called Apricot, who was very cute. I also had Apricot and Fabio try for kittens because I always just have the urge to do that, and I just did it. I don't know. Before kittens were born, we had 2 birthdays, Milo becoming an elder, and Faye becoming a teen. I gave Faye's room a bit of a makeover, but there wasn't like that much space in there. She just has a bed and a bookcase basically. Apricot ended up only having one kitten who we called Loki, which at the time was not an MCU reference because I wasn't into the MCU in 2019, but these days Loki is my goat, so shout out Loki, I guess. After yet another house fire, Sophia joined Milo as an elder, and Abby met a girl called Demi at a coffee shop. They went on a couple of dates, and eventually she invited her over and made a move when the family were like out, basically. Meanwhile, Fabio took to sleeping on the fridge, like regularly Fabio slept on the fridge, I'm not joking, to, in my opinion, avoid Loki. And then Faye invited over Annette, who she also saw a couple of times when she was a child, to just hang out basically. Because my Sims will have friends. They will have friends. We then had a few days where everyone was just being a bit social. Gus also spoke to Annette a little bit, went to a party with Cassie, Faye made another friend, and Abby went on a bowling date with Demi, and they started going steady. I thought it was about about time that Abby moved out, so I found her and Demi a little place to live, and Sophia had like went to visit them. And since Abby is fond of animals, I had her take Apricot and Loki with her. After a post woohoo nap, Sophia did a bit of gardening and managed to max the gardening skill and also complete her aspiration. 2 for 2 on aspirations. Wow, I was going crazy with it. Much like Abby, Faye then got a part-time job babysitting to help out a bit with money and give her like something to do. And after another fire, Gus aged into a young adult. His traits were kleptomaniac, self-assured, materialistic, and he had the chief of mischief aspiration. And I straight away moved him into a San Myshuno apartment, I think with Cassie, straight away. I also realized at this point that Fabio was an elder. No idea when that happened. Sophia then reached level 10 logic and level 10 in the gardener career, and I rewarded her by letting her retire instantly. Both Gus and Abby came over to hang out, and after like a family bonding day, Milo decided to die, which like, that's a good time. If you're gonna die after you've bonded with your family, that's a good choice. Rest in peace, Milo. A few more days were then spent just hanging out, not much really happening, but then Sophia died as well, which meant we were officially at the end of Generation 1. We began Generation 2 with Faye moving into her own starter home in Oasis Springs. Her traits were genius, squeamish, and family-oriented, and I don't know what aspirations she had, but she was in the astronaut career. Originally we had like an empty spare room, but I was like, let's just turn this into an office for a little bit, you know, make it look a little bit fancy. I also decided that Fabio needed a friend, so we adopted a cat named Mango, and like genuinely they would just follow Faye around the house. It was crazy. She couldn't do anything without 2 cats just like up her ass basically. In an attempt to have Faye be a bit more social, she invited Annette over, and Abby also paid a visit and looked around her new house. She then went to GeekCon, where she played some games and met a few people, one of those people being a sim called Jamie Milner, who she was pretty fond of. No spoilers, but she's pretty fond of him. A bit later, Mango became an adult, and Fabio died like a day after that, and I didn't realize that Fabio was that old. Rest in peace, Fabio. In an attempt to keep her mind occupied, Faye went on a jog and then invited Jamie to hang out, you know, just to keep her mind off the fact her cat was dead. And then after a few days of working on skills and doing misc job stuff, Faye and Jamie saw each other again, this time at a coffee place for a proper date, and ended up having their first kiss. I then took a moment to visit Abby and Demi and have them get engaged, married, and adopt a baby who we will see at some point, but her name is, what the fuck was her name? Madison? I don't know. I think it was Madison. Faye eventually worked enough to get a promotion, and Jamie came over once again, this time to solidify their relationship and woohoo for the first time. And not long after this, obviously, Jamie moved in. His traits were vegetarian, perfectionist, and ambitious, and he had the big happy family aspiration. After taking way too many screenshots of Mango and appeasing the gnomes, Faye and Jamie went to visit Abby and Demi for Thanksgiving, and they met their daughter. Yes, her name is Madison, I'm so smart. And the cat who they also just, I guess, adopted themselves, who was called Salem. This visit to Abby's place inspired me to adopt another pet, so we got a puppy called Benji. I think he was a Basenji, I've got written here. Is that right? Benji the Basenji, that's kind of fun. And after some days of puppy cuteness and skill building, Faye found out she was pregnant for the first time. Not long after this, Benji became an adult dog. Luckily, he was only small because like the house we had, it was a cute house, but it was not big enough for some fat dog. So luckily he was only little. Eventually, Faye went into labor and had a girl who we called Hannah. So obviously the office was no longer an office, it was a little nursery. The next thing to happen was we had to go to the vet because Benji turned blue and he got the cone of shame because I'm cheap. And then because this was 2019 and pre-infants, Hannah aged into an angelic toddler. In a genuinely shocking turn of events, the next thing to happen was Mango went into labor, and I genuinely was so confused. Like, I don't know how the fuck that happened. I didn't have her get with any cat. I have to assume that in the day that I was with Abby and Demi, the game made her get pregnant. Like, I don't even know if that lines up though, day wise. I don't know. I don't know, but she had 2 kittens called Pippa and Caesar, and luckily they were very cute, so like, I wasn't too mad. I was just confused. After taking way too many screenshots of our way too many pets, I took a trip to a different household, this time Gus's household, and I had him and Cassie get engaged. Then back in the main house, we spent some more days hanging out, looking after the kids, looking after the baby, working on skills. Then the kittens aged up and we just don't have enough space for all those animals, so I made the executive decision to move Caesar in with Abby and her family so that Salem could have a friend. but we kept Pippa with us. I think because she was cute. I think that was my criteria. The cutest cat could stay. After some more time spent doing nothing specific, Faye got some suspicious morning sickness, and I decided that a move was needed because this sickness was swiftly going to turn into a baby. The new house had an open living room, kitchen, dining area downstairs, and then 3 fairly small bedrooms upstairs. Eventually, Faye went into labor and had another girl who we called Haley, and not much was going on, so she quickly became a toddler and spent one day with Hannah as a toddler before Hannah aged into a child, and we gave her a room, a nice little makeover. We then spent some more days hanging out doing not much before it was Jamie's turn to age up, and then a couple of days later Faye aged up into an adult as well. I decided that Faye and Jamie should get engaged finally, so they went on a little date to the art gallery and Jamie proposed, and it was very cute, and then they celebrated by woohooing in Faye's rocket. Over the next few days, Hannah made a friend, and I took way too many screenshots of Haley just being the cutest little kid ever. The next thing we did was throw a little wedding for Faye and Jamie. I didn't take that many screenshots, but it was a very cute ceremony. I remember it fondly. It was a fun time. We then spent a couple of days enjoying the summer sun before Hannah finally became a child. She gained the music lover trait, apparently, according to my notes. And her first mission as a child was to take the cat to the vet, and while she was there, she bumped into Abby, which I thought was kind of fun. We then spent some more time enjoying summer before Hannah aged up, this time into a teen, and she gained the bookworm trait. I then did my classic thing of not knowing what to do, feeling a bit bored, and deciding the best way to cure that was by having my Sims have another baby. So Faye is pregnant for the third and final time. This pregnancy now meant we were in need of a bigger house again, so I had Jamie take out a loan because we're poor, and we moved into a house which I think was originally made by Lil Simsy, that I just gave a massive makeover. The ground floor had an open kitchen, living, dining situation like the previous house, but like a lot bigger, and a kind of like open office area, and the upstairs had 5 bedrooms. Swiftly after moving into the new house, Mango died, rest in peace Mango, and then Faye went into labor and had twin girls, Hazel and Harper, which I just didn't expect. I wasn't planning for twins, but it happened. To this day, I kind of hate myself for giving all of these babies H names. Like, having 2 kids with names that begin with the same letter is fine, but then having 2 kids and a set of twins and all of them being the same is like silly. The twins being the same is fine. Having 2 kids that are the same is fine, but having 4 kids they're all the same is like, what are you doing? Anyways, it's been 7 years. I should move on. I realized that Cassie, Gus's partner, had also given birth to twin girls recently, so I had Faye and Hannah go and visit her, and their names were Ariel and Sydney. We then spent quite a lot of time just doing like honestly nothing. We did skill stuff, we like played, we made friends. Eventually the twins became children. Hazel became an insider and Harper was outgoing, and I gave them their own bedrooms. Hazel's was kind of like a pink girly vibe, and Harper's was like a bluish, maybe also greenish vibe. In the midst of this, Haley reached level 10 of the creativity skill, which is crazy, and completed the artistic prodigy aspiration, which is also crazy because like my kids never are that smart, so I don't know how she did that. The next semi-interesting thing to happen was Haley becoming a teen, and I remember loving Haley so much as a teen. Like, I was just obsessed with her. I decided to throw a little dinner party around this time to kind of connect with the family a little bit. So like Abby and Demi were elders at this point. Cassie's twin girls were also children. Here is a screenshot of one of them, I don't know which one. And Gus, despite still wearing his young adult outfit, was on the brink of becoming an elder. We also had another addition to the family, with Cassie and Gus having another baby, this time a son called Alex, and Abby's daughter Madison is now officially a teen. After this party, we had another lull in interest in activity, but eventually Haley invited her friend Joe, who she saw a few times as a child, and decided to get a bit flirty with him, which he was of course more than happy about. We then went to the vet again, this time with both Pippa and Benji, and while we were there we saw Caesar, which was kind of cute. It was like, we just had a family reunion, Caesar and Pippa are having like a mini family reunion, you know? It was cute. Not long after I spent my money on Benji at the vet, he decided to die, which was incredible. And then after that, the first baby of the generation, Hannah, aged into a young adult. Her traits were bookworm, good, and unflirty, and she had the fabulously wealthy aspiration, and I had her join the political career. And she moved into an apartment with one of her friends from school, I think. After this, Hannah invited Joe around to mess around in the closet. Faye took a trip to space. The twins made a snowman together, and Jamie finally became an elder. We then spent some more days hanging out, doing nothing too crazy before the twins became teens, and even though they are only teens, this does mark the end of generation 2, because I was in a bit of a meh era at this point. I think my laptop, oh god, I like vividly remember having nightmare situations with my laptop, like in this house. Like I can see it. Like I think I got my laptop fixed and the colors were just wrong. So like I remember seeing the house, their big house, just the colors were just so off. It was horrible. So I basically skipped their entire teenhood, aged them up, and we went straight into Generation 3 after my laptop was fixed. I don't know. I began Generation 3 when Discover University came out, so like late 2019. And I knew from the beginning that I wanted Harper to be the proper heir, but I wanted to take more than one sim to uni. So I brought her twin sister Hazel along. And for the beginning of this generation, it's more of a double heir situation. But ultimately, Harper is the actual heir. I had Hazel enroll her and her sister into uni. And while they were waiting for a response, we just spent a bit of time with the family. Also, while Hazel and Harper were teens, which like genuinely I don't have any screenshots of, like I'm not joking, I have like one screenshot of them together as a teen. The only thing that really happened is Haley became a young adult and got pregnant, and Joe moved into the family house with us. And then the day before the girls went off to uni, Pippa decided to die. Like she couldn't even wait till we were gone. We had to experience that. Both the girls took 4 classes for their first term, with Hazel opting to do a drama degree and Harper choosing fine art. We moved into like a shared house, which, spoilers, we do not stay there for very long because it was hellish. Like to this day I remember it just being so fucking annoying. And I gave them their own little rooms. Hazel's again was like a pink vibe, Harper's was like a greenish bluish vibe. We had like a day to wait for classes, and other than when Jamie visited and Harper took a moment to beat someone's ass at juice pong, they spent most of their time like getting ahead with their studying. After a few days of university activities and exploring the area, I got sick of it taking them genuinely 10 years to walk to their classes or bike to their classes. So we moved to a San Myshuno apartment in the hopes that them teleporting away would just be quicker than them having to walk miles. And spoilers, it didn't help completely or as much as I wanted it to, but like it did help like a tiny bit. Sadly, apartment living did mean annoying neighbors, so Harper was often shouting in the corridors at her neighbors. She also got into painting just to like earn the household a little bit of money. Meanwhile, Hazel got flirting with a guy called Roman and ended up going on a little beach date between classes with him. And then over the weekend before final exams, Faye came over to visit and Hazel found out she was pregnant. And I don't remember if I planned this or not, but like it's very me to have my sim get pregnant at like a not opportune time, so I probably did do it on purpose. They then spent a day or so hanging around the university campus getting to know some people, and Harper met a sim called Cheyenne who we will be seeing a lot more of. After sharing the news with Roman and taking some end of term exams, Hazel and Harper went back home to see the family because Faye and Jamie were days from death basically. And then once they got back, they got their exam results. Hazel's GPA was an A- and Harper's was a B+. To celebrate, Harper went to the bar with Cheyenne and got into like this little weird argument with a random girl from the other university, and Hazel ended up having her baby, a girl called Alexa. I decided to experiment with plagiarizing, and literally right at that moment some random guy walked into the apartment. Like I'm not joking, I don't know who this man is, he just walked in. I then had Hazel try and plagiarize a paper, and I think she did manage to do it without getting caught, so like, you know, that's something I guess. During this time, Alexa became a toddler and I took a million screenshots of her. Here are some of them. You're welcome. Harper invited Cheyenne over and Hazel invited Roman to the romance festival, but he just like didn't show up, which was great. And then a couple of days later he came over and actually met Alexa, which was nice. Then we went to a club, and after some liquid courage, Harper finally made a move on Cheyenne, and they're just so cute. I love them. At this point we had reached the end of term 2, and because Alexa was going to be a child soon, I had her, Hazel and Roman move into a Del Sol Valley house to kind of let them be their own little proper family. And because university was taking fucking yonks, I aged both Hazel and Harper down a little bit because Harper still had like 5 classes she needed to do, and she was getting old. So instantly Harper made the most of living alone and invited Cheyenne over, and they decided to go steady. And she also got invited out by her sister Haley, which I thought was quite cute. I then made the decision to, since there was more space in the house, get a little cat, a Savannah cat called Doris, who I love so much. And soon after this we got another addition to the household because Cheyenne moved in. She had a lot of classes left and I couldn't be bothered, so I just had her get a job in the education career. We also found out we were getting another addition to the family because Harper was pregnant. I'm so dumb. Why did I do that? Oh my god. She also went to visit Hazel because her and Roman turns out had another baby, a boy called Wade. And then back home, Doris aged up. So I'm so obsessed with Doris. Love her, love her. And we finally reached the end of term 3, which meant Harper had one more class left to complete and then she'd be finished. But before the next term could start, obviously, Harper went into labor and had twin boys, Max and Jordan, who Doris decided to guard with her entire life. We spent a couple of days doing nothing, so Max and Jordan swiftly became toddlers and we spent some time taking care of them, teaching them stuff, as well as working on university. And then Harper revealed that she is pregnant again, which is just way too soon. I don't know what is wrong with past me, but anyways. Harper then became an adult and we decided to move to a proper house, which they obviously broke in by woohooing in the shower. I then made the executive decision to get another Savannah cat, this time a boy called Samson, who I'm obsessed with as well. And then after some days of getting used to the new house, Cheyenne aged into an adult and Harper went into labor, this time having a baby girl called Brandy. The next thing to happen was Samson aged up, and again, I'm obsessed with him, swiftly followed by Brandy aging into a toddler and the twins aging into children. We then spent some time hanging out around the house, going to work, going to school. Eventually Harper graduated with an overall B grade, and there was a woohoo celebration that of course resulted in a third pregnancy. As a little treat, I decided to take the family to Granite Falls for a little holiday, and they basically just spent a couple of days eating and playing games until it was time to come home and have a baby, another boy, our future heir, Eli, who became a toddler very swiftly because not much else was going on. We then spent some time making the most of summer, hanging out, except for Cheyenne, who had like a lot of homework to grade, and Brandy became a child. The next thing to happen was Cheyenne got fired for trying a new teaching method, but it's okay because Harper made her feel better via some woohoo, and then she just got her job back and it was fine. Meanwhile, Jordan invited over a new friend called Jackson, and we then had another little night out with Harper and her siblings. Hannah, officially an elder these days, she spent the whole time, she did not care about what anyone was doing. She was just like drinking her drink, living her life, and I kind of love her for that. My visions for Hannah's life, by the way, literally irrelevant, but my visions for Hannah's life when I moved her out was that she was going to be like a lone wolf and not get in any relationship or have any kid, but then like the game got her a partner, so she did end up having a kid. I don't remember his name, but she did have a son at some point. After some more days of work and school and hanging out around the house, Harper and Cheyenne went on a date at the bowling alley and bumped into Harper's cousins, I think Gus's twin daughters, I'm pretty sure. And then back home, Samson tried to sneak some food while the twins aged up into teens. Max, his vibe is like kind of flirty guy, meanwhile Jordan is a bit more like nerdy, sweet, nice vibes, you know what I mean? And here are both of their bedrooms, very cute, very nice. I'm just like reading from notes. I don't actually know what their bedrooms look like. I have no idea. I'm sure they were great though. I'm sure they were amazing. Since we were done having babies, I thought, why not have some kittens? So Doris is having kittens. Before that though, Eli became a child and Jordan went to the park with an also aged up Jackson, and they got interrupted by a couple of randomers, and Jackson was like looking pissed off about it. Meanwhile, Jordan was just sat there looking really awkward, which is like, that's so him to just sit there awkward. Love him. That's so him. Once we got back, Doris had her kittens, Bernard, Florence, and Harriet, which meant the house was just way too full. They were cute, so like I was gonna deal with it for a bit, but like trust, we're not keeping all of these kittens. Max then decided to play football indoors while Cheyenne fixed the sink because we're too poor to replace things. The next thing to happen was Haley, who is also an elder now, came over and we had a small house fire. And Jackson came over and Jordan finally made a move on him. I don't think they became official in this moment, but like they're together. Eli then went with Brandy to the park for a little bit and Cheyenne decided, actually, you know what? Football in the house is fine by me. Brandy then tried to take up violin and she sounded awful. Like honestly, you're lucky that you're just seeing screenshots. Then she became an art-loving teen and I accidentally turned Harper into a plant sim. She kind of like, it kind of worked for her, but I didn't mean to do that. But then we set up for Christmas while the teens were like faffing about and doing whatever the hell they do. Jordan then invited Jackson over again and they had their first mess around, and like they have like a picture on their wall in the background. It's so cute. Then everyone got gathered for Harper and Cheyenne to age into elders, and I had them both retire instantly. You know, they spent too much of their lives working, especially Harper. She spent so much of her life at university. She deserves retirement, I think. Then Hazel came over to visit her oldie twin and brought Alexa, her daughter, with her, who I assume at this point would have been a young adult probably. And eventually it was Christmas and everyone sang and hung out and it was very cute. Not long after Christmas, the twins became young adults and instantly Jordan invited Jackson out on a museum date where they made their relationship official and then woohooed in the lighthouse. We then had another birthday with Eli becoming a teen and all the kids went to a karaoke bar where instead of watching his siblings, Jordan decided to just watch some random people singing. Fine, maybe they were better, I don't know. Back at home, Brandy was trying to write but had people disturbing her all over the place, and then Doris genuinely like was looking possessed. It was crazy. We then had Jordan move out and start university studying biology. I think Max moved out as well at this point. Eli then decided to go on a day out to the beach, and while he was there, he met a sim called Alessia, and they made a little sandcastle in the rain together. How cute. We then got home, and sadly the possession had taken over Doris completely because she died. We then had another birthday with Brandy becoming a young adult. She joined the education career like her mum Cheyenne and moved into a small house in Newcrest. Eli then invited Alessia over one evening, and they were just so cute together. I love them. Eli and Alessia, one of my favorite couples in this challenge, I think. Meanwhile, Harper reached level 10 painting, and Ghost Doris came out to visit us. We then took Samson to the vet instead of letting him suffer because we could actually afford a vet care these days. And when we got back home, Alessia came over again, and her and Eli had their very first kiss. Then in a like genuinely quite upsetting turn of events, Harper and Cheyenne went on a love day date to a cafe, which abruptly ended because Harper keeled over and died right in front of the counter, marking the end of Generation 3. It was actually genuinely traumatic. It was really sad. We began Gen 4 with our heir Eli moving into a small home in Sulani in a brand new save where I brought his siblings and cousins with him, but sadly we will not be seeing his other mum again. Eli's first order of business in this new town and new world was to join the conservationist career and then invite Alessia, who is now officially his girlfriend, over, and she kind of like welcomed him into the neighborhood. It was very cute because that's like Sulani is like her place, you know, like that's where she's from. He spent a couple of days doing housework and skill stuff before Alessia came over again and actually revealed to him that she is a mermaid. Alessia was actually a sim that I created. So far in this legacy, Cheyenne is the only spouse that I did not create myself. I created Milo, I created Jamie, and I created Alessia. I didn't make Alessia with the plan of having her included in this legacy, but I did make her. After some more days of not much going on, Alessia came over again with her mum this time, and Eli asked her, Alessia, not Alessia's mum, to move in because I was just very excited about having a mermaid around, basically. After some time with her tail out, which I'm obsessed with, and a visit from Vlad, Alessia got some suspicious nausea and the next day found out that she's pregnant, and she shared the news with Eli and her mum at the same time, and everyone was just very excited. It was very cute. After some more swimming, Eli and Alessia went on a spice festival date night, which was very fun, and then Eli went to visit his brother Jordan and his partner Jackson because they adopted a little girl called Kaylee, who I love a lot. After this, Alessia went into labor, and while Eli was panicking in a different room, she gave birth to a baby boy called Sunny. We then just did some like boating around, getting promotions. It wasn't long before Sunny became an inquisitive toddler, and my initial disappointment at him being a boy wore off because he was just very cute and I love him a lot. Alessia then spent the day with her mum while Eli was on baby duty, and the next evening the couple went on a date where Eli proposed. Very cute. Back home, I decided, you know what this house needs? A dog. So we adopted a puppy called Aiko, and Sunny and him got on very well. They were very cute together. We then spent some days vibing, and Alessia's mum came over and revealed that she's very pregnant, which is funny because you know who's also pregnant? Alessia. Pregnancy number 2. Aiko then aged up, and we spent some more days hanging out on the beach before Alessia went into labor, and this time she had a baby girl who we called Bailey. Bailey, like Sunny, swiftly became a toddler and was a toddler with Sunny for about a day before Sunny aged into a child. We didn't have enough money to move to a new house, so I just added like a little attic room for Sunny, which to be honest I think is kind of cool. Like he had like a little ladder to get up there. I thought it was cute. And now that the kids are both like a little bit older, basically like there's not a baby in the house, it was time for Alessia and Eli to get married. We obviously had to get married on the beach. It was so cute. The screenshot of them with the cake, like putting cake in each other's faces, is one of my favorite screenshots of this entire legacy. Like something about it I just think is so cute. I think that might have been the first time that I'd seen that interaction, so it's just like in my head forever now. I don't really know. After a week or so of not much going on, it was Harvest Fest, so Alessia decided to cook a grand meal and we invited everyone over, and it was very fun to see everyone again obviously, but it also was just a massive mess. Like the amount of plates that were like left on the floor was crazy. Alessia's aspiration involved going on dates, so her and Eli then went on a little beach date which the kids ended up joining them on, and it was so fun. They like ate together. It was very cute. I actually haven't lived in Sulani properly since this generation of this legacy, so I kind of need to go back there. Like looking through these screenshots, reminiscing, I kind of love it there. Eventually Bailey aged up and decided to become a scout, which like every time my sim becomes a scout, I honestly don't pay attention to it at all, but you know, she's a scout. Love that for her. Sunny then spent some time with some kid called Lewis from school that he met, and Alessia took Aiko to the vet. After this, both Eli and Alessia finally became adults and we officially moved into a new house, which, to be clear, I did not build or really furnish at all. It was just like this. I have no idea who made it. It was 7 years ago. know. Sorry, I don't know. Of course, they're breaking the new place. Alessia and Eli woohooed in their new bed, and then we decided to adopt another dog, which I've been wanting to do for ages, but we just didn't have space. A Dalmatian called Dot. A few days after moving into the new house, Sunny became a teen and officially gained his tail, which was fun. And the next birthday was Dot aging into an adult dog. Sunny got a call from Lewis to hang out at the gym, which like is really not Lewis's vibe at all, but he went anyway, and he, you know, he tried his best. Poor guy, he tried his best. Alessia and Eli then went on another date for her aspiration, this time to Windenburg, and while they were there, they spotted Eli's brother Max fighting his other brother, Max's twin, Jordan's partner Jackson, which is drama that I didn't want to be involved in, but like it happened. Did that sentence make any sense, by the way? I hope it did. I'm not saying it again. The date ended up being only a bronze, but they did woohoo in a bush, so like, you know, take what you can get, I guess. Then some grown-ass man called Bailey as a prank, which was crazy, and Eli just sat in a fire for some reason. He's just built different, I guess. Sunny then got a call from another friend called AJ to hang out with him, and he did some cringe pose, and AJ just looked embarrassed to be seen with him, but you know, it worked out because the next day they skipped school together with Lewis, and they went to some like abandoned place where they did some graffiti in and like the bubble thing and like stood around a fire. It was very fun. My Sims are never rebellious like that. It was cute. I almost forgot because Sulani isn't snowy, but Winterfest arrived and we didn't have like a full party, but I did place some little piles of presents for them to open so they at least had some kind of celebration, but like we didn't do like a full thing, you know. The next thing to happen were Bailey becoming a teen and gaining her tail, and then Aiko becoming an elder. AJ and Sunny then went out on like a little bowling date, and it was very cute, and AJ fell on his face, which was also very cute. And Sunny did some dancing. I guess he won. They then went to play some arcade games to kind of like keep the hangout going, but some guy died in the room right next to them and he just completely killed the vibe, so they went home. Eli then mastered the logic skill, and Alessia completed her aspiration after one more date together. I then threw a little kava party, and not too much happened other than half the group decided to start cooking stuff on our counters, and Lewis and Sunny did a keg stand, which I don't know if keg stands are the norm for a kava party, but you know, I make my own rules. What can I say? Sunny then hung out with AJ and they kissed for the very first time, and Bailey came home from Scouts pissed off. She was probably just sick of it. She's like, my brother's got a boyfriend and I'm going to Scouts, and that's fair enough, but you're not the heir, so, you know, unlucky. Then after some more days of sunbathing and hanging out, Sunny finally became a young adult, which means Generation 4 is over. Generation 5 is kind of where this legacy falls apart, but you know, it begins nice and normal. So let's just start nice and normal. We start this generation with Sunny still living at home with his family, but he gets a job as a civil design engineer. The main reason he's still living at home is because I wanted Eli to get to the top of his career, but once he does that, we're moving out, trust. We spent some days not doing too much. AJ came over and they woohooed in Eli and Alessia's bathroom, which was great for them, I'm sure. Bailey went for a swim and I realised we had like a view of the old house, which I thought was really cute. And then AJ and Sunny went on a proper date that began with choking on air and then ended with a dumpster woohoo, which is great for them. The plan for this generation was like eco lifestyle vibes, so I got Sunny this like thing, I don't even know what the hell it's called, and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with this thing, and it's so crazy because I've got a save right now where they also have this thing in their house and I don't know what the fuck it is and like what it does. So it's been like 6 years and nothing's changed. I don't know what the hell it's for. Anyways, Eli finally reached the top of his career, which meant Sunny was out of there and he moved into Evergreen Harbor with his boyfriend AJ and best friend Lewis, which sounds fun in theory, but Lewis and AJ low-key did not get on through no intervention. I did not do that. They just did not like each other. After some attempts at bonding that were interrupted by loud neighbours, Lewis decided to adopt a little Jack Russell Terrier called Obi, and because I wasn't sure what I wanted him to do, Lewis got a part-time job at like I think a fast food place, while I think AJ was in the criminal career, I'm pretty sure. We then got a visit and a gift from Eli, and luckily AJ and Lewis's hate for each other didn't run so deep because Lewis set himself on fire, but luckily AJ was there to help him out. Imagine if he like hated him so much he was like, I'm not gonna help you. It was okay, he helped him. I then made the executive decision to have Sunny give up his tail because we weren't really doing island living stuff anymore. It was kind of like more of a hassle than anything else, so he got rid of that tail, which pains me to say, but you know, Sims 4 mermaids aren't that interesting anyway, they just look cool. AJ then spent some time bullying the neighbours and performing poorly with Sunny while Lewis tried to get out there on his own. You know, he didn't want to be a third wheel. He went on a little blind date. It was cute. We then went to visit Eli and Alessia purely because they adopted 2 dogs. Like literally we showed up, said hello to their dogs and left. Lewis has also taken up properly training Obi just because he has nothing better to do with his time. Meanwhile, AJ and Sunny are woohooing literally all over the apartment. I feel bad for Lewis, to be honest. In an attempt to do some roommate bonding and to try and also do a bit of Lewis's aspiration at the same time, the boys went on a little jungle adventure getaway, which genuinely is the only time I've done that, and it's 6 years later. I should go on a jungle adventure getaway again soon. I gave them all like their own little exploring outfits. They were so cute. Sunny let Lewis do most of the work, but like I don't think Lewis minded because like it's his aspiration. I'm sure he was, you know, excited to be there. And AJ was just like napping on the sofa. Eventually AJ did join them. He just woohooed in a bush with Sunny and that was basically it. And Sunny got spiders all over him, which I don't know if that was a result of the bush woohoo, but like maybe it was. That's gross. They then all got into literally the tiniest pool you've ever seen and then took a trip to the local bar where Lewis had to spend literally $1,000 on an antidote from being bitten by something deadly. I decided to cut the trip short here because we were low on money and this was the cracks were starting to show. Okay, the generation is starting to fall apart. I just didn't want to be there, so we left. We got back home to Obi, chilling. Sunny realized he was pregnant because one thing about me is when I'm bored, my Sims get pregnant. So Sunny, pregnant. Sunny shared the news with AJ, but AJ was like, oh, that's not really the vibe, to be honest, which was upsetting to Sunny because like despite the baby being unplanned, he was excited about having a baby. He then went and told his mum and got a far better reaction, which was nice. And then while Sunny was at work, AJ and Lewis got into some drama because of AJ being a prick about the pregnancy, and unsurprisingly, Lewis did not win the literal fist fight they had, but you know, his heart was in the right place, so I think he actually did win. And even though he didn't actually win, but he kind of did win, you know, morally. Lewis then went on a second date with the guy that he saw a bit ago, but it just like flopped and it didn't go well, so he's never seen that guy again. Meanwhile, Sunny and AJ had another chat about the pregnancy, and Sunny was basically like, you know what, if you don't want to be involved, then you can do one, and he broke up with him, and AJ moved out. Sunny spent a bit of his single time hanging out with the dog, doing some work stuff, seeing his sister, but then it was time to have a baby for real, and he had a baby girl called Effie. As soon as Effie was born, Sunny moved out of the apartment into a place of his own, leaving Lewis and Obi behind, and it wasn't long before Effie became a toddler, and despite AJ's reluctance at being a dad, he did come and visit Effie a couple of times, which was cute, and I appreciated him for doing that. We then adopted a cat, which is genuinely crazy because I do not remember this cat. Like, his name was Buzz. I do not remember this man. I don't know who this man is. I'm not joking. Bailey also came over to visit and like she was chatting to Sunny and I have this screenshot of Effie just like hovering around like she's really trying to be involved and it's so cute. Oh my god, baby Effie was so cute. Lewis then invited Sunny to the park and literally it was pissing down with rain. A dog shows up, attacks Sunny, and then we just go home. Like that's all that happened. Insane. The next day they went out to a little bar instead and after some liquid courage, Sunny makes a move on Lewis and kisses him, which like I was planning on doing, but like I said, this generation is going to shit, so everything I'm doing is happening way faster than I plan it. So like I wanted Sunny to take a bit of time, be single, you know, be a dad, go to work, but I just swiftly, so swift, him and Lewis are kissing. Back home, Sunny spends a bit of time with the cat and Effie, and then him and Lewis go out again, this time to GeekCon, and after a few more days of vibes, Lewis and Sunny decide that they just want to be together. So Lewis and Obi move in to the house and they woohoo for the first time. We then throw a little party, which is a barbecue birthday for Effie, and invited the whole family around, and it was so nice to see everyone. It was very cute. And then this is it. This is the nail in the coffin. Sunny adopted 2 kids, toddlers, Beverly and Arabella, because I was like, I mean, I think my logic here is good, but like I don't know why the fuck I did this, because Sunny is like kind of a eco-friendly person and I feel like adopting children would be more his vibe than having children. Like Effie was unplanned. I don't think he would plan to have children. I think adopting children was just much more his vibe. So he adopted 2 toddlers and they were so cute and I loved them. But this is where I stopped playing. I played maybe 2 or 3 days after adopting the toddlers, and then that was it, to be honest. There were multiple periods of time where I would pause this generation and then come back to it after months. Like when we left the holiday and Sunny got pregnant, between that was a big gap. Yeah, there was just some gaps and I at a certain point was like, okay, this needs to end. So that is where this version of this family ends. Effie, actually is a sim that I aged up about 2 years ago. So, Jesus, quick maths. About 3 years after I dropped this legacy, I aged up Effie to a young adult and gave her a makeover for the Not So Berry Challenge, and she became the founder of my Not So Berry Challenge, which I am currently still playing, and I finished Generation 5 as I'm recording this, like, literally a couple of days ago. So, yeah, the Sharp legacy as we know it, as I knew it for a couple of years, died a long time ago, but the Sims are still going strong. I still have Beverly and Arabella saved, and I will probably use them for something at some point. I'm about to start Generation 6 of the Not So Berry Challenge, which is, you know, Sophia's great whatever grandchild. So yeah, my next video going through my Sims families will be the first 5 generations of the Not So Berry Challenge that Effie founded, whenever I could be bothered to do that. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, I'll link screenshots of this family in the description and downloads for this family. But yeah, that is all.